A quiet place between belief and belonging. For a long time, I learned how to be quiet. Not because I didn't have thoughts or beliefs, but because I wanted to be liked. I wanted to belong. As a child, fitting in felt safer than standing out, and silence felt easier than explaining myself. So I learned how to soften my edges. I learned which part of myself to tuck away. That habit followed me into adulthood. And I know for those of you who know me now, this might be hard to believe. I rarely meet a stranger, but that openness is a learned skill, one that bloomed out of awkwardness. The more I've accepted who I am, the more clearly I learned how to communicate what I believe. Even now, I sometimes hesitate before sharing something I deeply believe. Not because I'm unsure of it, but because I never want to force my faith on someone else. I don't want belief to feel like pressure. I don't want God to be used as a weapon or a measuring stick. I love sharing joy. I love sharing beauty. I love sharing what gives me peace. And for me, God is woven into all of that. But the world, especially the online one, can be loud and unkind about faith. I've seen posts dripping with sarcasm, mocking belief as ignorance, treating faith like something embarrassing or backward. Even when I tell myself not to absorb that tone, sometimes it sinks in anyway. And while I'm sharing now, I never want to sound as though I'm mocking those who don't believe. Sometimes I don't post, not because I don't believe, but because I don't want to feel small. There was also a time when my struggle went deeper than silence. There were seasons when I said I didn't believe at all, when I told myself that God wasn't real, or at least not present. But looking back, I'm not sure that was ever the full truth. I think it's more honest to say that I was angry. And how do you stay angry at something you truly believe doesn't exist? The things that happened in my life, wounds I didn't know how to name. Anger felt safer than grief. Distance felt easier than disappointment. So belief became a kind of shield, not because faith was gone, but because it hurt too much to reach for it. What surprises me now is not that my faith weakened, but that it stayed, quietly, patiently, waiting. Over time, I began to realize that faith didn't return as certainty, but as presence, as a steady reassurance that didn't demand answers first. A truth that felt less like a challenge and more like an invitation. If God is for us, who can be against us? Romans 8:31. Not as a declaration meant to silence others, but as a reminder meant to steady my own heart. What's hard is that the same space that celebrates authenticity doesn't always make room for this kind of honesty. People speak freely about what they don't believe, and they're applauded for it. Yet belief, quiet, sincere belief, is often treated as something that needs defending or hiding. I don't want to argue. I don't want to convince. I don't want to win. I just want to be who I am, fully and gently. As I've grown older, I've become more comfortable wearing my own style, using my own voice, and letting myself be seen. That courage came slowly, stitched together through years of learning who I am and who I'm not. And faith is part of that story, one that has grown stronger than it's ever been. Not because life was easy, but because it wasn't. I admire people who share their faith without hesitation. That kind of confidence is beautiful. For me, it's more of a quiet wrestle, an internal conversation between belief and belonging, between reverence and restraint. But I'm learning this. I don't have to shout to be sincere. I don't have to hide to be kind. And I don't have to shrink to keep the peace. If someone doesn't want to read what I share, they're free to scroll on, and I'm free to speak with grace without apology. I believe in God. I believe in gentleness. I believe in leaving room for others while still standing where I am. And maybe faith doesn't always look like certainty. Maybe sometimes it looks like staying long enough to discover that God was for me all along.